how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I want to talk about The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. There's actually some news that did drop today and kind of last night that I do want to talk about because it's regarding The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 3. And also we saw some video from the Comic-Con panel regarding Carol's reunion with Daryl that I do want to talk about. Norman Reedus talks about it anyways, and it's kind of hilarious. But I do also just want to talk about, those characters reuniting in general and some of their best reunions overall just throughout the history of the show. I mean, there really hasn't been a lot, but yeah, I do want to talk about that. So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. We are just a little over a month away now until The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon's premiere, and I guess more specifically, we are exactly 5 weeks away now. So yeah, definitely getting a lot closer. Really, like next weekend, like on the Sunday when we're 4 weeks away, that's only 28 days away, and like a couple of days later, we're going to be 3.5 weeks away. So at that point, it's going to feel so close. And so I'm just excited. I really can't wait. I just want to watch this first episode and I want to be in that story again, and I really want to know what they're going to set up in terms of the real story to this season, because the one thing about The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 2 is a lot of what we're expecting from the story is obviously Madame Janae is going to want revenge after what happened at the very end of season 1, right? Besides that, Carol and Daryl are going to be reuniting, but like that's not going to be the focus for the season. It's not going to be all about Carol and Daryl reuniting. They're going to have a whole story that's somehow going to bring them together, but that's going to be one aspect to the season. There's going to be a whole story here with Madame Janae. There's going to be character deaths, and there's going to be a lot of, again, like mini stories in each episode as well. Like there's a lot of different plots to each episode. There's an overall plot. There's a lot of things that we don't even know about, so I'm excited to watch the first episode. Right now, they are actually filming The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 3, so they have begun filming Season 3 now in Madrid, Spain, which is very, very exciting. Obviously, that's sort of, that's what they've been confirming. For Season 3, they are going to be filming in Spain, and yeah, they are now filming in Spain, which is very, very exciting. I can't wait to see, more from this season, I guess basically once Season 2 is done. Like, I don't really need to see anything about Season 3 really until after Season 2 is over. It's just kind of cool that they are actually filming, and Norman Reedus actually shared a post that was actually very, very cool. It was, basically confirming that Season 3 was about to start, and I don't know if the outfit that he's wearing in the scene here is actually related to, Season 3 at all. If that's the outfit he's going to be wearing, or if it's just like an older photo, I have no idea, but yeah, it's just kind of cool that he's confirming that, yeah, Season 3 has started filming. It's very interesting because that's one of the things that we talked about on the podcast in terms of filming and whatnot, because I think the thing with filming is, a lot of projects, like I've noticed anyways, like they'll start filming like a year before or like finish filming, and then the show doesn't come out for like many months later, like almost a year later, and it's very interesting because The Walking Dead, the original series would film from like what, May to November usually. Maybe it was like April to November, but usually it was like May to November. It was around there anyways. And again, if they're starting filming in May, that's around like what, episode 1. The show came out in October, right? So that's like 5 months away. So really, after, being done the very first episode, it took you 5 months to edit everything and finish everything to get that episode out. And now, like they're filming season 1 right now. If you look at Daryl Dixon season 3, like they're filming most likely episode 1 right now, right? And it's August of 2024. When are we going to see season 3? It's likely going to be out in September of 2025, right? And so literally it's like just over double the amount of time, and maybe it has to do with the production of the show now, because obviously it looks absolutely incredible. The budget is much higher, so maybe it just takes a lot longer to actually work on the show and to get it to look the way it does. And it's interesting because Dead City just finished filming like what, probably a month ago now, maybe 2 months ago, a month or two ago or something like that for season 2, and that show's coming out at some point next year, right? It's probably going to be like February or March, but I mean, still, like it seems like it does take quite a while for these shows to actually come out, and I'm guessing it has to do with the editing. Like that really has to be what it is. And I will say, in terms of the promotion right now for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 2, it has picked up quite a bit in the last however bit. It is like, obviously if you're looking online, you're not going to see a lot of that. I think a lot of the online promotion that happens in the last like 2 weeks, but like everything really picks up in the last like 2 to 3 weeks, right? Like that's where you really start to notice a lot of things, if there's any sort of collaborations that The Walking Dead has done with like other franchises and whatnot, or like games, right? Like video games, like you'll start to see a lot of that. Then sometimes it happens like a month later. I know with The Ones Who Live, I think their collaboration with Warzone, that was timed for around when the premiere happened, but I do think it was a little bit after that, or maybe it was before, I don't even remember honestly. And so it is starting to pick up quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of like these like smaller TV spots and whatnot that are dropping. And also when you watch AMC Plus, there's a lot of commercials on there for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. So, you know, there is a lot of promotion happening right now for the show. It's picked up quite a bit this month specifically, definitely in the last like week or two for sure. And so I expect it to only, you know, pick up more and more. And then we'll see where that goes obviously in September here. But I mean, we're only 5 weeks away until the premiere now. So one of the things they actually did for like promotional, I guess, material for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 2 was they actually showed a part of the panel from Comic-Con in which Norman Reedus is talking about reuniting with Carol. And we've talked about this before, but I never really saw the official, I guess, panel in this way. So it was kind of interesting to see that. And yeah, he just kind of laughs and he's like, yeah, of course we're going to meet up, because he's talking about it like, you know, when him and Carol meet up like in the show, it's really like there's a build that happens that is just absolutely incredible. And so I was like, first of all, what does that mean? We'll talk about that in a second. But Melissa McBride's just like, hey, that's not fair. I thought we weren't supposed to talk about that. And then Norman Reedus is like, well, I mean, like, yeah, of course we're going to meet up. Like, I can't be that spoilery to say, right? And so yeah, I really like that he said that. And in terms of, you know, the build that happens to when Carol and Daryl do reunite, I do wonder what that means, because Carol's going to be in a place where she is looking for Daryl. Like, you see a lot of shots in the trailer where it looks like she does come across Madame Janae's group, and that's likely going to be when she's looking for Daryl. She's probably going to have a lot of questions of like, you know, do you know where Daryl Dixon is, or do you know this person named Daryl Dixon? And, you know, that could get her in trouble sometimes because she might be talking to the wrong people. And I imagine a lot of that is going to happen. And again, it depends on like some elements of the story and like what's happening with Madame Janae and what happens when Carol gets there, because a lot of what we know is Carol's gonna eventually get to France, but like that's the starting of the first episode, so like it's gonna get past that immediately once we get into episode 2. Like, Carol's gonna be in France, then what happens? And then in terms of Daryl, all we've seen from the opening minutes is that he wants to go back to America, and so I imagine for that episode it's gonna be a lot of like, should I go back, or like, what if you guys come with me back to America? Like, I think that's going to be a lot of the talk of episode 1, and then maybe they decide, yes, like, we will actually go with you back to America. And I mean, again, like, I don't know how Madame Janae is involved in a lot of this here, so that's where that build into, you know, however it happens, that's where it's going to be really exciting. And I do think it's going to be episode 2, you know, like maybe it's 3, 4, or 5 or something. Like, maybe they actually wait quite a bit. It would be kind of interesting if Carol and Daryl, you know, didn't reunite immediately and they were apart for quite a bit of the season. I still think, based off of the trailer that was dropped, it makes sense that they'll probably be together through a lot of the season. And I think that it's going to be like the end of episode 2 where they do reunite, because I just think, yeah, you want to have those two characters together, right? And there's also a lot of other aspects of the show that I'm really excited about, like Carol and Isabel, and just Carol and like the other characters, like literally just her meeting everyone else. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I also want to talk about that as well. You know, Carol and Daryl reuniting has always been a very exciting time on the show. Like, there's always been a lot of build up to that moment. And I remember in The Walking Dead, when it first happened after she left, I believe she left in like early season 4, right? Or maybe it was in season 3, but I'm pretty sure it was like early on in season 4. That was very, very incredible. And you gotta remember too, back then, just the way the story was, it really felt like Carol might have been gone. Like, I just remember watching back then, Carol left, obviously, when like Rick literally was like, leave, like, you can't be here. And Carol was like, okay. So she left, and she was gone after that, and we just never saw her again for quite a while, until really with Tyrese later on, obviously, and like the second half of season 4. And that was obviously, I mean, exciting. It was cool to see Carol there, but a lot of the other characters didn't know that Carol was there. And this was one of the first times that we ever had a character just sort of leave and then return. Like, obviously there was Merle before that, but he never really left. It was more a reveal when he actually showed up, because it was sort of surprising to all of us, like, oh, what, Merle's here, right? So that was a little different. But I would say, you know, this moment here was definitely very, very exciting to actually have Carol show up out of nowhere. And then after all the stuff they went through after losing the prison, I mean, we saw that emotional journey. And see, like, that's a big part of storytelling in terms of, you know, why you would want longer episodes as well, is because, yes, some of those episodes may have not have been the best to watch. And I do remember back then I enjoyed them, but I remember a lot of people complaining, saying the story's very, very slow, this and that. but it really did build up, you know, to the season 5 premiere where you do see Carol and Daryl reuniting. Like it was just something that, like, when that moment happened, it was just like, oh yeah, I totally forgot, like Daryl and Carol haven't seen each other in so long. Daryl probably thought Carol was just gone now, right? And after everything Daryl just went through, you know, Carol saved them as well. Like there was just a lot of meaning behind that reunion that I don't even think this reunion here on the show for season 2, like of Daryl Dixon, I don't think this is gonna really top that as well, because there was so much other story going on. Whereas here, it's just a little different, right? Like, I think if Daryl, or not Daryl, but I think if Carol is going through a lot of emotional, you know, stuff, I guess, here in episode 1, like, I don't know if they have enough time to build up to that reunion. And maybe if, you know, they wait a bit and they wait, like, until episode 4 or 5, or say they waited until season 2, I think that's sort of the issue, maybe, with the spinoff, is that you can't really do that because Carol and Daryl, I mean, this show is about them, right? Like, this is literally their spinoff, so you need to have them together, like, as soon as possible, basically, right? So I think, yeah, they're gonna end up reuniting sooner, but it doesn't mean that this reunion's not gonna be, you know, one of their best reunions. They've always been connected in that way. Whenever bad things have happened, they've always tried to, like, find each other. And I remember a lot of, you know, after when Rick died, or apparently died anyways, Daryl was out there trying to look for Rick. And that's also a whole other aspect of the season too. Like, is Carol gonna tell Daryl about Rick? Because does she even know? Like, honestly, I do want to do a video on that, because I've talked about that aspect a lot, but I also want to get into that one part to it. Like, does Carol even know? Because based off of the trailer, based off of a lot of what we're seeing, it feels like she doesn't know. And it feels like when we watch the season, Carol's not even going to really know anything about it, and whoever she was talking about, it's going to be something totally different than what we were expecting. And so, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but yeah, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post your thoughts down below on Carol and Daryl's reunion and how excited you are for it. And also on season 3, it's kind of exciting to see a lot of, you know, talk about season 3 and whatnot in terms of, like, filming and all of that, which I know people should maybe be focused a little bit more on season 2. But then again, The Walking Dead, like the actual Walking Dead accounts, they're more focused on season 2. It's more the actors that are talking about that they're filming, because, I mean, it's their life, right? Like, they're on set, they're starting filming, so that's why we're seeing stuff like that. So, I mean, that makes sense. So, yeah, but anyways, make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.